Hey guys. Um, I decided to dig through some of my old books, and this is definitely a favorite. This is called The Day Teddy Betty Bear Got Lost. And if you will notice, I have had this book for a very long time. I have to be very careful with it because it is so old that I'm afraid the pages will fall out. The author is Avery Slyer and illustrated by Morgan and Company Incorporated. I absolutely love this book because it kind of shows how important it is for you to know your last name, your mommy's name, or maybe even your address or a phone number. Because little Betty Bear, he ends up lost. So, bumpity bump, bumpity bump. Adam and Teddy Betty Bear were going to the park to play. Adam pedaled his tricycle. Teddy Betty rode in the little red wagon that Adam had tied behind it. The ride was so bouncy that Teddy Betty had to hold on to the sides of the wagon very tightly so he wouldn't fall out. Teddy Betty had never been to the park before. There were so many exciting things to do. They swung on the swings. They slid down the slide. And they climbed on the jungle gym. Soon, Teddy Betty was all tired out. "Time to leave," said Adam's mother. Adam helped Teddy Betty get into the wagon. Then they started for home. Bumpity bump, bumpity bump. Adam pedaled down the sidewalk as fast as he could. Teddy Betty bounced from one side of the wagon to the other. What fun he was having! Suddenly, bump! The wagon hit a crack in the sidewalk. Teddy Betty flew through the air. Thump! Teddy Betty landed on the hard sidewalk. Teddy Betty sat up and saw Adam in the distance. "Hey, wait for me," Teddy Betty called. But Adam didn't hear him and disappeared around the corner. Teddy Betty raced to the end of the street and looked around. Nothing looked right. None of the houses looked like his house. None of the front yards looked like his front yard. Worst of all, none of the little boys looked like Adam. Poor Teddy Betty Bear. He was all alone and didn't know what to do, so he sat down and he cried. "Well, well," said a voice. "What do we have here?" Teddy Betty looked up and saw a police officer. "Someone must be looking for you," said the police officer. "I'd better take you home. I wonder where you live." Teddy Betty didn't know what to say. When Adam went out, his mother always put a note in his pocket with his name and address on it in case he got lost. But he had never thought to pin a note to Teddy Betty's nightshirt. He started crying even harder. "You look like a brave bear," said the police officer. "I'll take you back to the station house with me. We'll get you safely home." He lifted Teddy Betty and set him on his shoulder. Together, the two went off to the police station. Bumpity bump, bumpity bump. Adam rode his tricycle into his front yard. Then he climbed off and walked around to the little red wagon. "Come on, Teddy Betty," he said. "Let's go inside." But Teddy Betty was not in the wagon. Adam ran to the sidewalk. "Teddy Betty Bear," he called. "Where are you?" There was no answer. Adam's mother heard him calling to Teddy Betty. She and Adam went to the corner of the block. Teddy Betty was not there. They ran all the way back to the park, but Teddy Betty was nowhere to be seen. Without Teddy Beddy Bear, dinner that night was no fun at all. Adam pushed his green beans around the plate and spilled his milk. He didn't even eat his dessert. Apple pie didn't taste good without Teddy Beddy there for company. "I have an idea," Adam's mother said after dinner. She called the police station and let Adam talk to the police officer who answered. "Have you found a bear?" Adam asked. "His name is Teddy Beddy, and I miss him very much." They had found a bear. That afternoon, another police officer had brought one into the station, but someone would have to come down and pick the bear up. Adam and his father went to the police station. It was so crowded. Adam was afraid that he would never find Teddy Beddy. Adam looked and looked for Teddy Beddy's face. Then, far off on the other side of the room, he saw something familiar. There on the sergeant's desk was Teddy Beddy Bear. "Oh, Teddy Beddy, I was afraid you'd be lost forever," said Adam. The sergeant helped Teddy Beddy down from the desk. The two friends hugged each other. "From now on, Teddy Beddy," said Adam, "both of us will carry our address. That way neither one of us will ever get lost again." And Teddy Beddy Bear agreed. I hope you liked my old book. One reason why I wanted to read it is because we have talked a lot of times about what happens if we get lost, and the reason why it's so important to know what our name is and what Mom and Dad's name is, and how to look for a person who can help us, which is somebody in the store who works there, or maybe a police officer or a firefighter. So I hope you really enjoyed my book. Bye, guys.